Hey guys, welcome back to another Casino Nomad Life video. This is Henry. I've been living in hotels for the past 23 months. If you're familiar with my videos, you may have noticed that I use a dice rating system just to kind of do a quick review of a hotel room or a meal when I'm kind of doing my thing. This video is going to be more comprehensive. In this video, I'm going to be covering my insights, what I like, my criticisms, etc., specific to general property and hotel rooms. So I will be starting with the Las Vegas market. I'll be covering every single hotel room in the Vegas market that I've stayed at. This video is not going to cover any hotels that I've only stayed in for one night, because that's not a good sample size. This kind of review video is going to be unique, as it's through the lens of somebody who has stayed and lived in these hotels full time. So I'm going to be getting into the nitty gritty on all these properties. To make it easy for you to navigate and watch, I will include some markers along the playhead that you can use to navigate to different properties. So utilize that. My hope with this video is that this will help you to make an informed decision when you're planning your next casino trip, and there will be more videos to come like this. With regards to food, I am not covering that in this video. I will, however, be doing a future video covering all food, sundries, gift shops, all the restaurants that I frequent on almost a daily basis in these properties. So that's coming up. We just hit the month of April, which means that March numbers are out. So if you're interested in finding out how my month of March went in terms of gambling and hotel expenses and comps and whatnot, you'll want to go to the end of this video. I'll cover that in depth. For those who want the short story on that, it did not go well. Finally, just before I begin getting into this, I just want to mention a disclaimer. These opinions forthcoming are my real, honest, transparent insights and criticisms and thoughts, guys. This is my own thoughts. I have done the work. I have lived in these casinos. I hope that you guys get some value out of this. I hope it helps you. I want to give back to you. This is the first way I'm giving back to you in the form of value on this first hotel review video. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it.
In no particular order, I'm going to go ahead and start with Horseshoe. That is my bread and butter property with Caesars. I've had a lot of room nights with them. But anyways, let's talk about the room. Located in the resort tower, I usually get their king room, and I love it. The AC is great. It blows cold. You can actually feel it. And the room stays consistently cool and also warm in the wintertime. I like the spaciousness of the room. It's very open and comfortable. There's enough space to move around. You can even stretch a bit. I've done a little bit of yoga and some push-ups in this room here, and I like it. It's good. The desk is one of the primary features that I love. Like, there's so much space on it. It's great for working, great for business travelers, in my opinion, and also for the ladies. It's also doubles as a great like makeup station. You can actually crack the windows open in the Horseshoe for some fresh air, which is a nice touch. Moving into the bathroom, the shower is very solid, great pressure, water temps are just right, and it's very comfortable inside the shower area. Mattresses and pillows are great. I usually sleep very well here. Just going back to the AC unit, I usually leave that unit on in the evening, and that helps to drown out any hallway noise. Overall, the noise control is pretty good in the room. The walls seem thick enough to block out most of your typical hotel sounds. Refrigerator is a great touch. I believe there's a refrigerator in every room at the Horseshoe. You don't have to worry about requesting one, so that's always a plus in my book. Parking garage is also super easy to deal with. There's multiple entrances, which is really helpful when some access roads get shut down during events, like specifically Formula One. And knock on wood, I haven't had any issues inside the garage. It feels safe. It's well lit for the most part. I really enjoy the Horseshoe parking garage. Location-wise for the hotel, it is great. You're right in the heart of the Strip. It's super walkable to other properties and other attractions and other restaurants. You can't go wrong with the Horseshoe, in my opinion. As far as improvements, I think that there's a lack of mid-range dining options on site within the Horseshoe. I mean, you pretty much have the Guy Fieri's Flavor Town, and there's a small food court, which is, downstairs and quite a little bit of ways from the elevators. So I think they could have some more variety in terms of mid-range dining options. That'd be nice. However, all you have to do is just walk outside, and you've got all the food stalls, and you've got Giordano's right there. A short walk away, you can access all the food you want. As far as like family-focused amenities, I think it could be better suited for families overall. I think there's some better options closer to the LINQ Promenade area that I think would be best for families traveling to Vegas. All right, that will do it for Horseshoe. Let's move on to the next property. All right, on to the next property. We're going to cover Harrah's Las Vegas. Parking can be a little confusing if you don't remember where you left your car. I remember a financial advisor once spent about 30 minutes trying to find hers, so definitely recommended to snap a quick pic of your level and your section when you park. The rooms feel a bit cramped compared to Horseshoe. The closets take up more space than I'd like, which makes the room feel tighter overall. Unfortunately, sleep hasn't been great for me here. The pillows are a little too thick and firm, and the AC fan doesn't do much to drown out hallway noise. The good news is the walls between rooms are actually pretty solid for noise control, but I personally like having a medium to loud fan running all night, and this setup just doesn't quite get there. Also, the windows don't open, so there's no option for fresh air. For business travelers, this wouldn't be my first choice. The minibar is often placed right on the desk, which takes up most of the workspace. I usually end up using the smaller makeup area instead. That said, the makeup setup is actually really nice. There's good lighting and you have your own mirror. Let's see, walkability for Harrah's is really strong. Highly recommended for families. You just have to walk next door through the LINQ Hotel to access the LINQ Promenade, where there's a lot more to do. As for refrigerators, I've had no issues getting one with my diamond status, but I believe they're usually by request, especially in the Mountain Tower. If you can, try asking for the Valley Tower. I think those rooms still come with fridges, but don't quote me on that. Just check with the front desk. The ladies there are awesome. Overall, Harrah's Las Vegas is a solid, middle-of-the-road option. Even if it's a bit cheaper than Horseshoe, I'd still personally choose Horseshoe, since the rooms are better suited for getting work done. That said, I do like Harrah's. It works well for my shorter stays, like 1 or 2 nights, when I just need a quick, convenient option between my longer stays. So that's Harrah's Las Vegas. On to the next. Okay, so like Harrah's, the LINQ is, I think, a solid option for shorter stays. It's a little bit better for business travelers or remote work, but not by much. The bed sits a bit lower to the ground, but it is still comfortable. I don't remember having any bad sleep here. That said, the desk space is basically non-existent. There's a small nook that works for a laptop, but it quickly turns into a narrow ledge with some awkward angles. It's not a design that I'm a fan of. The bathroom, it's small overall, but the shower is actually a highlight. It's more spacious than you'd expect. And while it has that same half-glass setup as Harrah's, they do include a curtain, so you don't have to worry about water getting everywhere when you step out. Closet space, though, is pretty rough. It's just an open layout with a curtain instead of a real door, which feels a bit cheap and not very functional. The fridge placement is also a little awkward. It's right next to the bed, but the upside is that I believe all rooms come with one, which is a nice perk. Parking here is honestly pretty bad. The garage has tight spaces, lots of pillars. It's just not a great setup. I usually park over at Harrah's and walk over. Where I believe the LINQ really shines is its location. You're right there at the LINQ Promenade, so you've got easy access to all the restaurants, the attractions, and the high roller Ferris wheel. That makes it a great option for families, probably more so than for business travelers. For me, it's a solid choice for quick 1 or 2 night stays when the price is right, but it's not my go-to everyday property on the Strip. Next, we have the Flamingo. Oh my gosh, the Flamingo is a classic. If you've never stayed here, I do recommend trying it at least once when you're in Las Vegas. And if you approach it the Casino Nomad way, you can actually have a really solid experience. First off, I do not recommend the standard go rooms. The pricing can be tempting, but they're not very updated and the walls are extremely thin. I actually had a noise issue with a neighboring guest one time and could pretty much hear everything. Suffice it to say, that was my last time staying in a standard room there. If you want better sleep and an overall nicer stay, I highly recommend going with the executive rooms. Renovated or not, that's the tier I personally stick to every time I visit Flamingo nowadays. Now let's talk about the shower, because that is where Flamingo really stands out. Honestly, in my opinion, it's my number 2 in my top 4 shower experiences on the Strip. The water pressure is fantastic, temperatures are on point, and it just feels immersive. Even in the standard rooms where space is tighter, the pressure makes up for it. Executive rooms have that same half-glass shower design, but just like the LINQ, they include a curtain, so that's great. You don't have to deal with water getting all over the floor. As far as noise goes, I highly recommend asking for a room that does not face the LINQ Promenade. If you do end up on that side, expect loud music and bass from the Mexican restaurant down there running late into the night. That said, inside the executive rooms, the walls are actually really solid. I've even stayed near the elevators and was surprised how quiet it was. I consistently get great sleep in these rooms, so props to the Flamingo for that. I love the executives. Makes them a great choice for business travelers or, like me, for remote work. For families, there are bunk bedroom options worth looking into. I've never checked them out. Do your research. Food-wise, Flamingo has a very nice mix of casual spots and nicer, more fine dining options like Bugsy and Myers. And that Havana 1957 Cuban restaurant is a solid new addition. You've also got the wildlife outdoor habitat with the flamingos, which adds to the overall experience and definitely makes it more family friendly. And just like the LINQ, the walkability here is excellent. You're right by the LINQ Promenade. Now, where the walkability shines, well, the parking is a bit of a weak point. The garage feels old. It's a little sketchy and can be confusing if you're not familiar with it. The garage elevators are also really slow. I always take the stairs, even with the amount of luggage that I have on me. On top of that, getting in and out of the property can be a hassle. That intersection by LINQ Lane, it's always packed no matter what time of day it feels like. Overall, my advice is to go with the executive rooms or higher. Avoid facing the promenade if you can, and you'll likely have a great stay at the Flamingo. Moving on to Park MGM. Park MGM is an interesting property for me. It has that upscale boutique feel, and the non-smoking casino is a huge plus in my book. That being said, if I wasn't getting comp stays there, I probably wouldn't pay out of pocket for it. From a business traveler standpoint, the room just doesn't work for me. At least in the standard rooms I've stayed in, there's no real desk setup, and the chair is too soft and it sinks in. Even the booth seating isn't great. Honestly, a few of the rooms had a bit of a weird smell, like a musty smell. However, that being said, where Park MGM absolutely shines is the sleep and the shower experience. I've had some of my best sleep here. The mattresses and the pillows are incredibly comfortable, and the shower is number 1 for me on the Strip of all the places I've stayed at. Plenty of space, excellent pressure, the water temperatures are just on point, and it's just an all-around spa-like experience every time. I can't say enough great things about the shower experience there. It's just a bit of a letdown that the rest of the room feels so basic. I mean, despite the nicer decor and artwork, it's cramped. Storage and closet space is also pretty limited compared to what I'm used to at some of the other Caesars properties. And noise is also a big issue. The walls are thin, you can hear neighbors pretty easily, and you can really hear, things like blinds opening and closing from your neighbors. Room service, it's average. Food is okay, but definitely overpriced. I only used room service when I had the food credits and the vouchers. Personally, I wouldn't pay full price for it. I don't know how people do, but I guess people like to waste money. Parking there at Park MGM is manageable most of the time, but when there's an event at T-Mobile Arena, oh boy, it can really turn into a nightmare. Location-wise, though, it's a strong pick if you're in town, for a fight or a sporting event or a concert. You're right there by T-Mobile Arena and not far from Legion Stadium. There's also some family-friendly options nearby on the Strip. And Italy is actually a pretty cool food hall experience, but in my opinion, just a little pricey. Overall, for me, unless it's comped, Park MGM is not my go-to. But I'm curious, am I being too harsh? What do you think? Feel free to let me know what your comments are regarding your Park MGM experience below. All right, time for the Luxor. First off, no refrigerators, similar to Park MGM. I really wish they'd take a page out of Caesar's book on that. But let's talk about parking. The garage feels a bit sketchy, and I had a hard time finding spots at times. On top of that, it's a long walk from the garage to the entrance, and then yet again another long walk once you're inside just to get to the hotel registration. Even navigating the casino can be confusing, and getting to the elevators, especially the tower elevators, adds even more walking. If you do stay here, I recommend going with the East or West Tower rooms over the Pyramid rooms. While I haven't personally stayed in the Pyramid, I've heard some mixed rumblings about haunted rooms and whatnot, and a rumor to avoid the 12th floor. As for the tower rooms, in my opinion, they have a darker overall feel, just both in the lighting and the general vibe. Overall, the bathrooms are pretty cramped, especially the showers. I had an accessible room one time, and even that felt tight. I can only imagine what someone who actually needs the extra space, what their experience was like in that shower. The desk setup is on the smaller side, but at least there's a designated workspace, which is more than I can say for, Park MGM. Overall, Luxor has a very different vibe. Thankfully, my stays were comped because I certainly wouldn't go out of my way to pay for it. And I'm upset because in one of my earlier videos, the first time I actually paid a resort fee was here at the Luxor, but I was in a pinch and there was no avoiding it. So I would stay here again, but it would be for a 1 or 2 night stop in between a longer stay. I certainly wouldn't choose it for anything longer term. Hopefully you found those previous hotel room segments informative and entertaining. Again, my goal in putting this together is to make you an informed traveler when it comes to preparing for your next Vegas vacation. Without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and get into the end of March 2026 numbers. For those of you who are new to this part of my videos, at the end of every month, I compile all my numbers, all the food comps that I've gotten, all my hotel rates that I've paid, all my gambling wins or losses that I may have incurred, and I put it together and compare it to what the average cost of a 1-bedroom apartment plus utilities would be. Right now, I'm kind of using $1,500 a month as a benchmark for rent. I'm not counting food expenses or groceries or gas or anything like that, just because, number one, I haven't been tracking that accurately. And number two, it's too much. It's ever changing, and I just want one benchmark to compare this lifestyle to, and that is base apartment rent and utilities. I did make a mistake in my last video when I covered the end of February numbers. I was having some trouble with my adding apparently, and I was about $9 short of my total 21-month rent total. So that total, instead of being $1,594, is actually $1,601.03. So that's the number I will base March results off of. For March, I spent a total of 26 room nights in hotels for a total cost of $404.78. Also for March, I did a lot of gambling. I was ahead at one point, but ultimately I ended the month down negative $1,250 for a total March rent, gambling and hotels, of $1,654.78. Now, comparing that to a $1,500 apartment, it makes more sense for me to get the apartment at this point in my journey. I do want those numbers to go down more. Gambling is what's going to decide that. The amount of money that I gamble and how long I gamble will decide that. Again, I need to keep playing in order to kind of keep this train going in terms of getting perks and getting cheap rooms and potentially comps. I hope I can recover these numbers a bit and get them back down to the $1,500 level, if not the $1,400 level. That's going to take some extreme discipline on my end. I'm going to have to either really stop when I get ahead, if I get ahead in the month, or I just have to really limit my gambling losses to well under $1,250 a month. You know, maybe $500 to $800 a month. I think I could see some decreases in my overall average. Looking at the grand scheme of things, as I mentioned, my corrected 21-month rent average was $1,601.03. Adding March numbers into the mix, my new 22-month average is $1,603.47, which is an increase of $2.44 since February. Now with me starting to lose some comps, it's going to be even more challenging. So we're going to see what happens. Thankfully for the month of April right now, I've got a really good head start on my bookings and keeping those really, really low. If you guys stuck through the whole video, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. For those of you who have been bouncing around, I really appreciate you guys taking a look. Again, hopefully you guys can utilize some of my insights with those hotel rooms in your travel planning. I thank you for your continued support, your likes, your comments, your subscribes. We have a live stream coming up this weekend, April 11th. So I'm hoping you can join me for that. We may have an opportunity to do some live gambling on camera. I'm currently working on securing permission for that. Thanks for tuning in here to Casino Nomad Life. And I look forward to putting together another video for you very soon. Thanks, guys. Peace.